Self-care is important. This is a statement that is more acceptable now than ever, but most of us can remember a time when that wasn't the case. In my culture, self-care wasn't something that you worked on. It wasn't synonymous to healing. And to begin with, I was made to believe that I had nothing to heal from. I was cautious to address my lack of self-care because that meant I would need therapy, and from there I knew my undiagnosed depression might need more help. Therapy ended up being less scary than I thought. However, I was hesitant for almost 2 years, to be honest, and talk about the topics that had been living in silence. Medication took me longer to accept. I struggled staying consistent. One of the reasons was that I felt weak for not being able to manage my depression without medication. I couldn't just move forward like the other women in my family. Another reason is that I had succumbed to westernized methodologies for addressing my mental health. I grew up in a household where white families and their reliance on therapists and medications were a them problem. It was implicitly communicated that the non-westernized perspective of my culture should only be used to address our emotions, our mental well-being. What did this look like? Well, this consisted of strengthening my ties to Catholicism and keeping busy so as not to let my mind wander. But leaning on organized religion just didn't work for me. And I just couldn't rely on the saying of just keeping busy and I would be okay. Leaning on my culture, to me, early on, didn't feel too helpful with what I was internally facing, dealing with. My time on medication and consistent therapy began in Scotland. I have been on antidepressants for 3 years, going on 4, and I still need them to function, to be me. I'm also still in therapy. About 2 years ago, I leaned into art to help with my healing. At the time, I felt my creativity needed an outlet other than writing, because writing was too hard, because I wasn't ready to put certain experiences into words, because I didn't want to put my story out there just yet. Art felt right. I could control what I wanted to see on the page. I could add all the colors, and I didn't have to explain. I just had to create what my experiences had led me to focus on in the present day. My Mexican culture has art that has inspired me since I was little. Trips to Mexico and their art markets would leave me buzzing. I wanted to remember everything that I would see because the colors, textures, mediums, techniques were mesmerizing. I walked around not being able to choose what I wanted to take home. I wanted to give every piece of art a home. Art made me happy. I wanted to produce beautiful things like all the indigenous artisans that I met. Their attention to detail would light my soul. Experiencing paintings, pottery, ceramics, jewelry, all made by indigenous artisans, left me feeling fulfilled. I was experiencing my culture through the lens of artists who came from the same land as I did. Not only did it make me appreciate my culture, but it also perhaps explained why I'm such a color fiend. Mexican art is not subtle, and well, no one has ever described my taste as being bland. Knowing that my culture is overflowing with art and artisans that look like me, and that raw materials are being made into masterpieces which resonate with my history and my roots, is exhilarating. It's a validation that I didn't know I needed, a validation that has taught me that the non-westernized world isn't less than. In the process of getting in touch with my artistic side, I also realized how I gravitated towards storytelling through my art. My storytelling represents my identity as a first-gen Mexican-American, a mestiza, a Chicana. One day, my art will reflect that as well. Storytelling is a big part of my culture. Oral history has been the carrier of knowledge and history of my Mexican culture. And when I realized my love to share my story and the stories I grew up with, a part of me just thought how long my elders and ancestors, who I've never met, did the same. Storytelling is intrinsic to my existence, and now I know it's probably because it's intrinsic to the survival of la cultura mexicana. Mexico is quite unique. A large part of the population is mestizo. However, I believe we are more indigenous than we think. When I reflect on the storytelling tradition of my family line, I can't help connect the dots to our indigenous origins. The importance of community building through storytelling among indigenous tribes is something I feel and see in the Mexican culture that I know, and that makes me happy that a connection can still be made even after the genocide of colonization. Thanks to my art practice, I have been motivated to write my stories. They are no longer just going to live in my mind and fade away with age. The combination of these two creative outlets have allowed me to heal in various ways, and this is not to say that therapy and medication haven't been doing their job. They have been. But art and storytelling have enabled me to define who I am on my own terms. They unsilence my silence that had been forced upon me. It's amazing to think that creativity can help us heal. The act of painting or writing can bring about a flood of emotions that have been waiting to be released. Acts that I never thought would be crucial to my health, acts that were dismissed over my lifetime as frivolous or only a hobby with superficial value. The other day I came across an academic piece titled Place of Strength, Indigenous Artists and Indigenous Knowledge is Preventive Science by Key J.E. Straits, Jalen De Maria, and Nadine Tafoya. It talked about how art created by Indigenous artists was able to help communities to implement effective substance abuse prevention efforts. It was wonderful to read, and I quote, "Indigenous knowledge is evidence-based community science effectively communicated through multiple mediums, including art." I learned that my view of art being capable of healing was more fact than opinion. According to this academic piece, Place of Strength is an art evaluation model created by the New Mexico Tribal Prevention Project Council and community partners to increase overall wellness and decrease substance abuse and suicide in tribal communities in the southwest of what is now the United States. This study pointed out that Indigenous artisans from each community came together to develop art that told the story of their community's journey of developing a tribal substance abuse prevention program. I found it beautiful that art strengthened these communities by centering their culture. This resulted in artworks, which included a wellness garden, murals, clay spirit bowls, video documentaries, photographs. Art became protection for these Indigenous communities by providing a visual language of hope. The academic piece states, and I quote, "Art became a way to talk about the prevention initiative in culturally derived language and metaphors that, in itself, may foster resilience." I could relate to that. I keep visual reminders of La Virgencita so that I remember that I can hold my ground, that the heaviness of one day will not defeat my dreams. The outcome of the study reported nothing but amazing results. For instance, the model increased cultural knowledge and prevention awareness among participants, increased youth leader development, increased connection between youth and elders, and increased collaboration across various groups. These results further highlight that art can't fall under a classification of right or wrong or good or bad. Art is a culture's expression of themselves, of their history, of their stories. And it's impossible for cultures to be exactly identical. Classifying art as a wrong or bad just because it deviates from what we've been taught in European-centric classrooms is complete nonsense. It would be like saying that non-Westernized cultures are wrong or bad. Additionally, this academic piece reinforces that representation matters. Representation can save communities from dwindling. It can preserve legacy. It can preserve a source of ancestral healing. The following quote from the study reinforces the importance of taking into consideration culture when navigating through solutions for a community. An intentional narrative shift occurs when this evaluation model, as the position of the narrator, changes from outside evaluator to community member, and the language of the evaluation shifts institutionalized colonial languages to native visual languages through art. It's fascinating to know how our answers lie with our origins, with our past. Even with how advanced we are as a society, we just need the simplest of things to be in good spirits and good relations. Once again, I can relate to this quote. The taste of a tortilla de maíz brings me back home, back to the maíz of Mexico. Hearing the rhythm of cumbias takes me back home, back to the fun of dance floors. Seeing vibrant floral altars brings me back home, back to my parents and the way they celebrate El Día de los Muertos. Art captures emotions and messages that the language which has been forced upon us cannot. Art is creativity and science. Its remedies are just as crucial as the ones made from formulas and test tubes. As an individual who has struggled with their mental health, I do believe that physical health doesn't mean you're living. My mental health battles have had me in survival mode, and that has made my physical presence emotionally draining. The approach of art as a science is a wonderfully powerful way to decenter the westernized lens that many of us have lived in. Elevating, or should I say restoring art as a science in my eyes, feels like a cultural shift, prioritizing the history and enseñanzas of my Mexican culture. I always felt my culture ignited my spirit to overcome obstacles, but for the longest time, I didn't think there was a scientific validation for these feelings. I thought I was just a sensitive individual. Stumbling upon academic studies like this one has been helpful for my validation. So many of my lived experiences have been written off as a me issue, but now I'm curious to find out how many others have felt the same way, and what the actual cause to these feelings is. I'm grateful that more and more research and books are being published by academics of color and authors of color. There's so much to understand about ourselves, so many dots to connect. Just like this study highlights, it's impossible to have a one-size-fits-all solution for all communities. Each community heals differently. The needs for each community are different, and that should not be perceived as difficult or annoying or frivolous. I cannot help think how incredibly unfair our westernized society has been towards cultural differences. Friends, what do you find healing? What's your go-to? I try to engage with my art every other day to keep my heart full, to heal. And as you can all see, I've been working on my final sketch for this lesson. I can't believe I'm more than halfway through the course. Is my seagull looking decent? I've sketched owls before, but never seagulls, which is surprising because I see and hear seagulls every day here. After the sketch, I only have 2 more lessons. I'm already thinking ahead and considering signing up for another course designed by Toby Sketchloose. I want to tackle more complex scenes and perhaps even venture into sketching people. Anyways, let's finish up this scene, shall we? I love the blue background in this. The different shades seamlessly overlap each other. This sketch is another one for Toby to assess and provide feedback, which I always appreciate. Thanks for stopping by, friends. I hope you engage with the practice that is healing for you. I'm off on a little walking holiday this week, so let's hope that I survive and that I don't get eaten by midges. I'm pretty sure I'll have plenty to share with you next week. Until then, take good care.